Good evening. It's Wednesday, December 14th. I'm Constantino Tsindas. President Anastasiades has said that pending issues in the Cyprus negotiations are closing, but differences of opinion remain on some issues that will be raised again for decision-making. Following a 3-hour meeting he had with Turkish Cypriot leader Mustafa Akinci last night, Anastasiades said it took place in a constructive climate, agreeing to have 3 or 4 more meetings by January 9th, when they will meet again in Geneva for the last stage of the negotiations. The negotiators will also hold intensive talks, meeting up to 3 times a week, in order to gap as many of the remaining differences as possible. Anastasiades said the issue of the composition of the multi-party conference was not raised at the meeting, as the views of each side are well known, and any discussion on that would not benefit the aim of bridging more gaps. President Anastasiades has traveled to Brussels, where he is holding a series of important meetings on the process for a Cyprus settlement. He was scheduled to hold talks this evening with Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras in the presence of the foreign ministers of the 2 countries, discussing a common strategy on the upcoming Geneva negotiations, which focus on the security and guarantees issues to be discussed at a multi-party conference starting on January 12. Anastasiades will also hold separate meetings with European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker and President of the European Council Donald Tusk, which will center on the role of the European Union at the Geneva conference. The European Council is set to discuss the most pressing issues, including the implementation of the EU-Turkey statement and the reform of the common European asylum system, security, economy and youth, and external relations. Greek Cypriot negotiator Andreas Mavrogiannis said that the issue of free movement and residence, which has recently been at the center of party confrontations, has been decided upon a year ago. He added that on the basis of this agreement, all citizens can move freely and establish residence and business, acquiring property in any part of Cyprus. Mavrogiannis said the only limitation will be the size of the property acquired and the weighted vote, meaning that in each side 4 votes coming from voters of the other community will be counted as 1. Mavrogiannis added that the Geneva conference will be open-ended, meaning that it could go beyond January 12th. Mavrogiannis noted that no one could say what the outcome would be, as there are still important divergences, most notably on the properties issue. He further stressed that the 2 sides are reviewing again the mechanism for overcoming deadlocks in decision-reaching, so as to leave no loose ends. Mavrogiannis and his Turkish Cypriot counterpart Ozdil Nami had yet another meeting today, discussing economic issues, according to a tweet by UN emissary Espen Barth. Turkish Cypriot leader Mustafa Akinci has insisted that the composition of the Geneva International Conference has been agreed upon in a clear way, saying that after the talks between the 2 leaders, the 3 guarantor powers will be invited to join in the negotiations. A UN statement at the end of a meeting on December 1st said that other interested parties will be invited to take part as needed. But Akinci claimed that this means that other parties will be invited to take part if there is agreement between the 2 sides on who will be invited and on their role. He said the EU could be represented by Foreign Affairs Commissioner Federica Mogherini or Council President Jean-Claude Juncker, in the same way as former Enlargement Commissioner Günther Verheugen took part in the Burgenstock Conference in 2004. Verheugen had been called at the conference as an observer, but he assumed a key role in shaping up the formula for the drafting of blueprints for the solution of the Cyprus problem, which was, however, dismissed by Greek Cypriots in a referendum. Greek and Turkish Cypriot peace activists held a joint march in both sectors of divided Nicosia today, demanding from the 2 community leaders to conclude an agreement that will lead to the reunification of Cyprus. The marchers belong to the bi-communal initiative Peace United Cyprus and 95 other civil society groups of both communities. They gathered outside Mustafa Akinci's office in occupied Nicosia and handed a petition. They then marched through the Ledra Street crossing point and gathered at Eleftheria Square, from where they were bused to the area outside the presidential palace. A delegation was allowed in and handed the same petition addressed to President Anastasiades. Police investigating a murder case connected to the death of a 40-year-old man in a road accident have arrested a second suspect to assist their probe. Police said the suspect is a 25-year-old man who was intercepted at Paphos Airport after he arrived from abroad. He was today remanded in custody. Investigators are checking information that a third person was also in the car at the time of the crash. Police said that the suspect was a passenger in a car driven by a 31-year-old man, which collided with a high-power bike, resulting in instant death of the victim, Andreas Stylianou, in Limassol a week ago. Stylianou was alleged to have fired shots at the house of the driver of the car just before the accident. The driver of the car maintains that the crash was not planned. Airstrikes resumed in the Syrian city of Aleppo today after a truce deal meant to halt fighting between government forces and rebels stalled. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said heavy clashes, including shelling and gunfire, broke out, leading to many deaths on both sides. A ceasefire agreement brokered by Russia and Turkey ended years of fighting in the city and has given the Syrian leader his biggest victory yet after more than 5 years of war. But the deal fell flat on its face, leading to the cancellation of the evacuation of rebel eastern Aleppo. The opposition blamed Iran and its Shiite militias allied to President Bashar al-Assad for the hold-up after morning clashes that escalated into big-scale fighting. That's it for our news this evening. Now look at tomorrow's weather. It will start mainly fine in the morning tomorrow, but will become cloudy at times later in the day. Winds will be light to moderate southwesterly to northwesterly, force 3 to 4. Seas will be slight. Temperatures will reach 13 degrees Celsius inland and in coastal areas, and 2 over the mountains where frost will fall. It will be partly cloudy on Friday with local rain and possibly isolated showers, but mostly fine on Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures will be similar to those on Thursday. That's it from us. Join us again tomorrow for more news in English. Have a very good evening.